If you are having a management of a software, it needs to be activated, it needs to be controlled, and planning needs to be done, supervision and all the organization, everything, all the activities needs to be there in the project management. What is the memory it requires? So if the memory requirement is more, then we can say that the expenses will be very high. What is quantitative? Anyway, we are measuring the quality of a software. If we are measuring quantitative, it will be in the terms of number, right? Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. Welcome to the very first session of Unit 2, and we are in the B.C.A 6th semester subject called Software Engineering. I am Rohini T.S., Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So as we already discussed about the portions and syllabus of this software engineering, as we all know that Unit 2 of the software engineering subject is all about software requirements. But in our today's session, we're going to discuss about what do you mean by project and what is the use of having a project in a software engineering, and what do you mean by software management, or what do you mean by project manager? Who is that person? What is his role? For what reason he has certain set of rules and regulation in order to do the project? And also I will be discussing about what are the role of management in software development. Already we know about the software development life cycle. So in that, coding or implementation is also one of the part. So under that we are going to come across several stages. So we have feasibility study, system analysis, designing, coding, implementation, and also we have a testing, deployment, then maintenance and evolution of that particular project. By knowing all the stages of software development, so in our today's session, we'll see what is the role of management in a software development, and also we'll see about what is the role of metrics and measurement. For what reason we have to do the measurement of a quality of a software, and what do you mean by metrics? What are its type? For what reason we are going to have this metric? How to measure it? Everything that I will be discussing in my today's session. Let me get into the session. First, you have to understand what you mean by project is all about. So anyway, you are all in the final sem of your B.C.A. So you would have come across a word called project. Anyway, you are all doing a project in your academics, right? So then what do you mean by project here? For what reason you are doing? Don't say it's for mark's sake, right? So we are having a word called project in the software engineering. So in order to implement any of a solution for a particular problem, we are going to perform a set of activities. We will be having certain set of rules, and we are going to have certain tasks or a group of tasks. That group of tasks we are playing, or that group of tasks is performed in order to seek a particular solution. Then what do you mean by project? You can see here, a project is a group of tasks that needs to be complete to reach a clear result. For what reason you are all doing the project? Mainly to have a clear result. We are all seeking certain resultant from a particular project. So it's a group of tasks which needs to complete in order to reach a resultant or a clear result. And also this project also defines as a set of inputs and outputs which are required to achieve a goal. So in order to have a project, or in order to do a certain set of activities, we are going to consider a certain group of activities, or it will going to have a set of inputs. After taking that inputs, it will perform something. As a result, it will going to give you the output, mainly in order to achieve a goal. And also, as we all know that project can be simple project or a complex one. So based on the requirements, what are the parameters that you are taking? So what are the things that you are expecting from the project? Based on that, the complexity of a problem or a complexity of a project will going to be vary from one project to another project. It can be a simple one or a complex one. And in order to implement that project, it may require only 1 or 2 developers, or it may require a group of 100 people. So this is regarding project. And also, what is the software project management? So now we got to know that what is project. Then what is the use of managing that project? For what reason we have to do that? We'll see here. Software project management is an art. Why? Because within a certain time and within a certain budget, you have to fulfill all the requirements which is given by the customer, so that it will be considered as an art and discipline of planning and supervising the software project. So here they have to work according to the requirements of a customer, and they have to well plan, then that needs to be supervised in order to get a software project. So that project management or a software project management will be considered as an art and discipline of maintaining, planning and controlling, coordinating all the supervising activities which is required in order to build a software project. That activities are called as what? Software project management. And also it's a sub-discipline of software pretty management, in which software planned, implemented, monitored as well as controlled. So if you are having a management of a software, it needs to be activated, it needs to be controlled, and planning needs to be done, supervision and all the organization, everything, all the activities needs to be there in the project management. So now we'll see what are the prerequisites that we require in order to maintain the project. So what are the need of doing the project management? So there are 3 needs for software project management. So in order to accomplish certain criteria, we are going to use this software project management mainly for the time. So whatever the project they are giving, that means whatever the requirements which is given by the customer, that needs to be implemented as a software project, that needs to be done within a given time, so that it has to be completed within a given time. Then cost, it should be reasonable. For example, if I am having only 2 features in a single model, then they can't charge 1 lakh, 2 lakh for that. So the cost or whatever the money we are spending on that project should be reasonable. And also quality, there should not be a compromise in the quality. It must be very qualitative, even in the terms of size and its quality, also in the terms of lines of code. So lines of code or line of code of a particular project or a module should not be very high. So it has to yield the resultant within a given time, within a given budget, and it has to yield the quality. So these are the prerequisites that we require in order to manage the project. Then who is going to manage this project? That is a person, one who is called as project manager. So project manager is a character who has the overall responsibility for the planning, design and execution, monitoring, controlling and closure of a project. So is a person, one who is going to take care about from the requirement gathering to the end of a management or to the maintenance of a particular project or a product. So project manager is a character, is going to have all the responsibility, which includes planning of that project and designing of that project and execution of that project, then monitoring, controlling as well as closure of a project. It has to reach to the customer by satisfying all the requirements which is given by them. So this project manager represents an essential role in the development or achievement of a project. So if he is taking any negative decision, that is also going to affect the project. So whatever the decision which will going to be made by this project manager will directly going to affect on the project. So he will be considered as what? Most responsible, and he will going to represent the essential content of a project in the organization. This is the work of this project manager. And also next, we'll see what is the role of management in software development. So as we all know that when we are working with a project, it can't be done by a single person. So it has to be done by a group of people that include analyst, developer, coding, tester, all those people we included in the software development. Then what must be the coordination? How must be the coordination and interaction or a contact between the person to person? So management will going to play a very important role in managing a software development. So especially when we are going to working in a team, and also the number of co-workers are very huge. So the coordination between all those people needs to be very well maintained, so that the management of all those resources, whatever we have in a software development, that needs to be managed in a very well manner. And also next we'll see what are the factors which will going to affect or which will be responsible for the role of management in software development. So here we have a certain criteria, we have a certain factors which will be responsible or which depends upon the role of management in a software development. So it will going to include 4 P's. So all 4 P's are important here. So first one is people, and also we have a project, we have a product, and also we have a process. All these 4 P's will going to factors or it will going to affect or responsible for the role of management in a software development. The first one is regarding people. So who is the people in the software development life cycle? So as we all know that from the time of requirement gathering to the end of a management or a maintenance of a software, we would come across several number of people, the person or a character who is going to perform a particular role in the development of a software. So that this people will going to include or it include software analyst, designer, and development team, and also we have a testing team, maintenance team, and bug removal team. All those teams we have. So within that we are going to have a person. So communication between them is very important. Even that factors is also going to be affect on the role of management in a software development. And as we all know that those people may be like they can be customers or developers or even designers, or even it could be a salesman, one who has to very good communication between each other, between each team, which will be able or which will be responsible for delivering a product or a project as a final product. So that there must be managed so that all the required information is successfully delivered to the relevant person, and hence there is no communication gap between the customer as well as the service provider. Mainly there must be a communication. So in order to have a communication, we require people. So if there is a gap in a communication, then they might not able to develop a project by not understanding the requirements or a customer what they are seeking for. So that people is also very important role. Next what we have, project. So already we have came across number of people, one who is going to work for a particular project. So that if they are working together for a particular project, then they can build a final product as a resultant, then it can be delivered to the customer as per their needs or demands. So if there is a communications or if there is a interaction between the number of people whoever we have in a development of a software, if it is well maintained, then this project or a product can be finalized as a resultant and it can reach to the customer within a given time. So that the management of that project is very important. So if it is completing all the resultant within a given time, and it also needs to be reached to the customer without any delay. So that project can be completed on time without any delay only when we have a communication between number of people whoever is responsible for the project. And also we have a process here, so that this process can be requirement gathering, analysis of that requirement, removing of a requirement which is not so required, and also analysis, designing. All those tasks will be considered as a process here, so that each process is managed according to its needs and each needs to be taken a special care. So any one of the needs should not be declined, any one of the need which should not be ignored by the development team as well as the designing team. All the requirement needs to be taken care. So that process in the sense what? It will be a collection of activities or it will be a task which is performing in order to reach a resultant very soon. At last we have a product. This is what a final project or a final resultant which is seeking by the customer, so that even after the development process is completed and we have to reach our final project. So when we reach our final product, it needs to be delivered to its customer. Once it is reached as a final project, then it will be ready for the usage. So that the entire process needs a separate management team like sales department. All those are required only once it is considered as a final product or a final resultant. Once it is considered as a final resultant, as I told earlier, it will be ready to use. So all these 4 P's will going to affect, or it will going to be a factor which is responsible for the management of a software development. So now we'll see about the software measurement and metrics. Already we know software, right? It's a collection of tasks, or it will be a collection of instruction or a program. So we are writing a program, or we are having a collection of program as a software, mainly to result in as a satisfaction of a requirement of a customer. So that then what is the need of having a measurement of a software? How this software will going to be measured? It will going to be based on the ISO standard. So when you wanted to measure a quality of a software, it will going to be depends on the size and its quantity, even amount or its dimension of a particular attributes of a product or a process. So this management or a software measurement, it's a manifestation. So with the help of a size, its characteristics as well as the quantity and what is the amount it require in order to develop that software. So here size in the sense, what is the memory it requires. So if the memory requirement is more, then we can say that the expenses will be very high. So that size, quantity as well as the amount or a dimension, for what purpose we can use it, whether it is belongs to a particular purpose or whether we are doing this project as a general one. So that all the size, quantity as well as amount and dimension of that particular attribute of a project or a product is also going to be measured. So that this measurement is done by the help of this ISO standard. So here we have a ISO, that is International Organization for Standardization. It will going to set certain standards. Based on that we have to develop any of the software. So that software measurement is a rate input of a characteristics of a software product or a software process. So here we are just representing what is the essential part of a software by maintaining its quality, quantity as well as the size, and then within a reasonable time as well as the amount. So that this is regarding software measurement. Then what is the need of doing this software measurement? So that mainly to create the quality of a current product or a process. So if I wanted to get to know what is the status of a particular product right now and what is its current quality or a product or a process, and also in order to anticipate the future qualities of a product or process, it should not be static. For example, if I am buying any of the software or a product, at the time I won't buy it only for the usage for a particular time. So we are going to have any of the product by seeking its future qualities, how it will going to be helpful in the future days. So mainly that needs to be takes place when we are measuring this software, and also in order to enhance the quality of a product or a process. Will it be possible to enhance or to improve the quality of a product or a process, and also in order to regulate the state of a project in the relation budget as well as the schedule. So are we going to get this software within a given time or within the given budget? So mainly it based on the time as well as the effort and based on the money or amount which we are putting on the particular project. Mainly to understand these many qualities, we are going to need this software measurement. Then what are the classification we have in a software measurement? How we are going to measure a quality of a software, on what criteria? Based on that, it will be of two types. One is direct measurement and another one is indirect measurement. As I told earlier, we are going to measure the quality of a software, and software is measured in the terms of ISO standard, that is International Organization for Standardization. So whatever the rule which has been set by the ISO, based on that if we are measuring the software, then we are going to call that as a direct measurement. So if you wanted to watch a movie or if you wanted to get to know what is the content in the movie, if you are directly visiting a theater or a OTT, then you are seeking that movie, then that will be considered as a direct. But so if you wish to watch any of the movie but you are taking the opinion of others and you are scrolling regarding the reviews or feedback, based on that if you are going to watch the movie, then that will be considered as what? Indirect measurement. In the same way, if we are measuring a quality of a software or a product or a process, anything it needs to be measured by making use of a standard scale which is given by the ISO, then we are going to call that as a direct management. But in the indirect management, we are going to take a certain parameters so that it will going to The indirect measurement, the quantity or a quality to be measured is measured using a related parameter based on certain criteria or based on certain parameter. It will going to be measured. That means it will going to take the reference, or it will going to take the opinion of others. So based on that, if it is classified, it will be considered as what? Indirect measurement. We'll see the next topic, that is regarding metrics. So now we got to know that we have a size, attribute, and also we have a domain, dimension, quality, quantity. Based on that, we are going to measure a quality of a software, right? Then what about this metrics here? So metrics is a measurement of the level that any input belongs to a system, product, or a process. So metrics is like what? It's like a potential. It's a measurement of a potential of a software, up to what level it is able to diagnose any of the uncertainty which will going to happen in a development of a software. So that is what metrics is, a measurement of a level that any input. So here input in the sense what that represents or which is related to, belongs to a particular system, product, or a process. And also we have certain functions which is related to the software metrics. It includes planning, organizing, controlling, as well as improving. So by having all these functions, then we will be able to find the metrics to what level the quality of a software can be used. So that is regarding metrics. And also you can see certain characteristics of a software metrics here. So it needs to be quantitative one, and it has to be understandable, and also it needs to be applicability, repeatable, and economical, and language independent. We'll see each of the characteristics of a software metric one by one right now. First, what it is? Quantitative. What is quantitative? Anyway, we are measuring the quality of a software. If we are measuring quantitative, it will be in the terms of number, right? So if it is in the terms of number, it needs to be expressed in values. You just take the example of you are weighing any of the vegetables or a fruits in the weighing machine. So at the time it has to show you like whether it's how many grams or how much of the kg. So that has to be shown, right? So in the same way, quantitative in the sense what? Metrics must possess its quantitative nature, that has to be represented in the terms of values. If it is able to measured or it is able to shown in the terms of values, then we can say that software metrics is a quantitative one. And also next we have a understandable. For example, if I wanted to get to know whether it is in the kg or a gram, so there must be no ambiguity. There must be no ambiguity. It must be very clear. It must be easily understandable to each other, those who are having this software metrics. So that metrics computation should be easily understood. The method of computing metrics should be clearly defined. So here it has to tell us what is the method of measuring that metrics. It has to be very clear and should be very well understood for everybody, those who are having this metric computation. And also we have a applicability. Already we know about the SDLC cycle, right? That is software development life cycle. So in that we have several stages, several phases we have. So from the beginning of gathering of a requirement stage up to the maintenance or evolution stage, this metrics or a software metrics needs to be applicable to all the phases of a software development. So that metrics should be applicable in the initial phase of the development of a software. Next, what we have? Repeatable. For example, if you wanted to weigh 1 kg of tomato, will you going to buy a new weighing machine? And after weighing that 1 kg of tomatoes, will you going to throw it away? No, right? That means repeatable. It needs to be reusable. At 11 o'clock, if I am measuring the amount or a quantity of that tomatoes in the weighing machine, it has to show me 1 kg. Even after 30 minutes, if I am checking that again, it has to show me again 1 kg itself. So that means when we are repeating certain activities or when we are repeating certain processes, at the time whatever the metrics we have should be constant, so that the metrics value should be same when we measure repeatedly and should be in the consistent in nature. Then we can say that it is possessing a characteristics of called repeatable. So next we have a economical. So it must be cost needs to be reasonable. So it should not include or it should not go beyond the budget. So that computation of a metric should be economical. It has to be takes place within a given time and within a budget. And also we have a language independent. This metrics or whatever the quality or amount or level that we are using in order to measure a software quality, that should not depends on any of the programming language. So that it should not depends on any of the programming language. If it is not depending on any of the programming language, then we can say that it's a language independent. So these are the characteristics which we have when it comes to the software metrics. Next, what we have here, that is classification of a software metrics. So this classification include process metrics, product metrics, and also we have a project metrics. What about all these type of metrics? We'll see now one by one. When it comes to the classifications, totally we have a 3 types of software metrics here. First is related to product. As the name indicates, product in the sense it's a final result in, or it's a final thing which is given to the customer for the usage purpose. Then how can we impose this metrics in the terms of product? We'll see now. So these product metrics are used to evaluate the state of a product. What is the state of a product? Again, you take the tomato example itself. At the time, we will check whether it is okay, whether it is what ripe or unripe for the usage. That is what state of a product. And also tracing risk. So if I buy it today, can I use it for tomorrow or not? So we have to check about its risk, whether it is feasible to implement or not. And also how to diagnose that risk is also needs to be understand in the product metrics. And also the uncovering prospective problem areas. So what are the unseen areas? What are the covered areas we have in order to measure or in order to improve the efficiency of a software metrics. And also the ability of a team to control the quality is evaluated here. So how the management will going to take care, or how the team of control will going to control the quality of a product, that will going to be evaluated in the terms of product metrics. So we have to concentrate on we have to evaluate on the state of a product, and also whether we have a risk in that needs to be traced, and also uncovering prospective. So in the 360 degree, we have to measure whatever the risk it is possible to be arised in the product. So what about this process metrics? So this pay a particular attention or enhancing the long-term process of a team or organization. So here process in the sense set of activities, right? So if I am performing that sequence of activities or a set of activities, how much time it will going to take, whether it is a long-term process or a small-term process, whether it requires a single developer or it requires a team or a organization. So that is regarding process metrics, product as well as process. Next, what we have? Project, right? So it will going to describe the project characteristics and execution process. So if it is a project metrics, then it includes the project characteristics and execution process. On what criteria or on what basis this project metrics will going to be measured? So it requires the number of software developer. For example, if I wanted to have a particular project, then what is the number of developers that I require in order to maintain or to develop that project? And also staffing pattern over the life cycle of a software. How many number of human resource we require in order to have this development of a software, and what is the cost and time it requires, that is cost and scheduling, and what is its productivity, for what reason we are having this project, how it will going to be a solution, how it will be the solution for a given problem of a customer. So all those characteristics will be evaluated in the project metrics. I hope you all understood. It's all about my today's session. In my coming session, we'll see what is requirement engineering and what are the requirement engineering process we have. Then we'll see about the requirement elicitation process. I hope you all understood my today's session. Let me meet you in the next session. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.